This week at Macy's, get ready for a spring refresh with an extra 20% off with your coupon or Macy's card. Or check out amazing specials like Levi's jeans for all, now 30 to 40% off. New kids and baby looks, 50% off. And 1,250 thread count 4-piece sheet sets, just $39.99. Plus, Macy's Star Rewards members earn on every purchase except gift cards, services, and fees. More at Macys.com/Star Rewards. Savings off sale and clearance prices, exclusions apply. This week at Macy's, get ready for a spring refresh with an extra 20% off with your coupon or Macy's card. Or check out amazing specials like Levi's jeans for all, now 30 to 40% off. New kids and baby looks, 50% off. And 1,250 thread count 4-piece sheet sets, just $39.99. Plus, Macy's Star Rewards members earn on every purchase except gift cards, services, and fees. More at Macys.com/Star Rewards. Savings off sale and clearance prices, exclusions apply.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is Daily Drop number 332. OK Magazine has produced some pretty damn good articles as of late, and this one is no different. Again, Chris Spargo has some pretty good information here. Now, we know that in the Virgin Islands, there has been tons of subpoenas sent out. Well, one of them was sent to Nadia Marcinkova. And in this article, OK Magazine breaks down what that subpoena entails and some of the details surrounding it. So let's jump into this article by OK Magazine and see what Chris Spargo has dug up. Author Chris Spargo. Headline: Epstein bombshell. Court demands videos, pics, logs, and full list of young rape survivors from sex slave Nadia Marcinkova. This article was published on October 13th. Jeffrey Epstein was a man of many secrets during his lifetime, but that is all about to change. OK has exclusively obtained court documents revealing that the pedophile's survivor-turned-recruiter Nadia Marcinkova was subpoenaed by the Attorney General for the Virgin Islands. That is pretty damning stuff for the whole Core Four, right? If one of them gets subpoenaed and one of them has to go under oath, then you would expect that all of them are going down. Because there's no way that these people aren't going to rat on each other. They're not going to sit around there and take it all in the pants themselves. Especially people like this. OK can report that the subpoena was issued back in August and demands Marcinkova, now 34, hand over specific records and documents that fall into 12 separate categories. Prosecutors have ordered the Slovakian-born pilot to comply by returning the requested evidence within 30 days of receiving the notice. So if this subpoena was sent in August and she had 30 days of receiving the notice to give the information up, you would have to think that this information is already in the hands of the Virgin Islands Attorney General Denise George. The late criminal, who died in his jail cell at age 66 in August 2019, is not the only person whose secret personal affairs are at stake should Marcinkova do as directed of her by the Attorney General's office. So again, like I was stating, there's going to be people put in serious jeopardy anytime one of these members of the Core Four is put under the microscope and is especially put under oath to speak. Then it causes all sorts of danger for the rest of them. Because remember, the FBI has talked to all of these people already, I'm sure. And if their stories don't line up, well, you got yourself a little bit of perjury going on to get things started. And you know that these stories aren't lining up. You know that Sarah Kellen Vickers, Nadia Marcinkova, Leslie Groff, Adriana Ross, you know that these ladies are not going to do time for one another. They're going to rat on each other, and they're going to do whatever they can possibly do in the name of self-preservation. The court documents also request all documents or materials reflecting or referencing any communications with or relating to Ghislaine Maxwell. So not only do communications between Nadia Marcinkova and Jeffrey Epstein have to be turned over, but any communications between her and Ghislaine Maxwell must also be turned over according to this subpoena. So this is a pretty wide-ranging subpoena. This is a serious situation for Nadia Marcinkova and the rest of the Core Four. Believe that. Virgin Islands tax lawyer Erica A. Kellerhalls, Epstein estate co-executors Richard D. Kahn and Darren K. Indike, Yulia Slinskaya, an Epstein ex-employee, Adriana Ross, a former model accused of organizing underage girls for Epstein, and Leslie Groff, an Epstein assistant who allegedly coordinated travel for young girls, and or Sarah Kellen, another former assistant who allegedly kept a Rolodex of young girls for Epstein. So all of these people named in this subpoena, basically, are the people that I believe will end up indicted and in trouble for this. Actual justice to be served. These are the likeliest candidates of people who end up being arrested. Now, I discussed all of that earlier on the drop when we were talking about Leon Black and the only way, my opinion, the only way to get these enablers is the financial path, right? But these other people, the Core Four, Indike and Khan, forget it. These people, they actually have their fingerprints on the whole entire blueprint of this criminal enterprise. So these people that were in the inner circle, that were there daily, that knew what was going on, well, these are the people that are in imminent jeopardy of losing their freedom. And these are the people that the prosecutors, in my opinion, are most assuredly focused on as we speak. Slinskaya, Ross, and Groff have also been served with subpoenas in the case. So it's interesting, right? Leslie Groff, Slinskaya, and Adriana Ross have all also been subpoenaed in the case. So, you know, they're getting together with whoever their lawyers are. And if I'm their lawyer, I'm suggesting that they make a deal. I'm suggesting right now to them, if I'm their lawyer, that you walk into the prosecutor's office, you walk into the attorney general's office, whoever it may be, and you spill the beans. Every last thing you know about this man and his operation, you have to come clean with. That is the only way to get some years shaved off of your sentence. Because nobody should be given no jail time over this. When we have crimes involving children, there has to be jail time for everybody involved. Marcinkova is next asked to supply the court with all documents reflecting any and all payments to you, whether monetary or in kind, for any of her services or work, as well as any materials reflecting employment agreements and or severance agreements and documents related to any settlements or non-disclosure agreements. What they're looking for is receipts. They want to make sure she has receipts for the money that he gave her. Now remember, the previous article from OK Magazine was talking about how Jeffrey Epstein dispersed a bunch of funds to people just like Marcinkova in the years leading up to his death. So the question is, does she have receipts for this money? Was all of this stuff locked and was it all legit? Or were there financial crimes committed? Was there money laundering going on? Was there insert a million different FinCEN violations going on? So that's what the court is trying to do here. They're trying to establish a pattern. That way they can figure out what she was up to, where she was getting the money, and what the reason behind that money was. And also, did she claim that money? Remember, folks, at the end of the day, the last people you want to tangle with is the IRS. Forget the FBI. Forget the CIA. The IRS is the last group of people you think you're going to pull one over on. If you owe them 10 cents, you're paying them 10 cents. Believe it. The Attorney General also asked that Marcinkova detail what exactly her job was during her time with Epstein and provide an accounting of all financial transactions and credit card purchases made during that time. It sure looks to me like they're building a gigantic matrix based on the financials of Jeffrey Epstein and how they were dispersed. And if the SDNY was smart, they'd be calling Denise George and getting a look at what she's been working with here and what sort of information she's drummed up, because it's all part of the same overall large, wide-ranging case. It's just happening on many battlefronts, right? This is all the same war, but these are just the many different fronts that it's being fought on. Marcinkova is also asked to supply the court with all documents and materials relating to any immigration matters, including but not limited to visa and applications therefor, for any girl or woman who visited or traveled with Jeffrey Epstein, and all communications in electronic paper form with any immigration attorney related to any such girl or woman. So that all goes back to the story of the girls being made to marry these girls like Marcinkova so they could stay in the country, and all of the other underlying crimes that came with that, the immigration crimes, etc., etc. So Denise George and the Attorney General's office in the Virgin Islands is looking at every single angle, it would seem. All documents, materials, recordings, or books reflecting, referencing, or documenting any flights you took, including but not limited to those you piloted with Jeffrey Epstein, including but not limited to the aircraft you piloted, and including the identity of each of the passengers on each flight. So they're asking Marcinkova for any and all flight logs, any and all communications, any bit of note-taking that she had done while on the planes with Epstein or piloting those planes is now wanted by the Attorney General and the federal government. Any and all communications reflecting or relating to any travel arrangements to or from the Virgin Islands in which you were involved, including but not limited to any and all passengers on each trip and the provider of each mode of travel. They're being thorough here, huh? They're really going for the gusto, and they're looking to get all of the evidence that they possibly can. This sure doesn't seem to me like an attorney general who's just trying to scare the estate. This looks like an attorney general who's going for the gusto. All photos, videos, including any housed within electronic media of you with Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, Erica Kellerhals, Richard D. Kahn, Darren K. Indyke, Juha Slimkaya, Adriana Ross, Leslie Groff, and or Sarah Kellen. So any pictures, any text conversations, any emails, if you wrote them a note on a drink napkin, that has to be turned over to the Attorney General, according to this subpoena. Provide all documents and materials related to any and all cellular phone numbers used by you for the relevant time frame, including each phone number assigned to you or used by you and the cellular carrier through which the service was handled. That sounds like a metadata look to me. What they'll try and do is get an idea of, who she was texting, when she was texting them, and that will also help them build their profile and have an idea of other people who were caught up in this, perhaps. Any and all documents, materials, or other items related to any credit, checking, or other financial account of any description opened for you by Jeffrey Epstein or anyone on Jeffrey Epstein's behalf, including by Darren Indyke or Richard Kahn, including but not limited to any American Express account. So they specifically point out the American Express account, and it's funny that they point out Indyke and Kahn as people who have opened accounts for her, or could have been opening accounts for the survivors or co-conspirators, whatever you want to call it. But the fact of the matter is, again, Indyke and Kahn, their signatures, their names are all over this. And I'm not talking about signing for some DoorDash, right? We're talking about significant signatures on very, very crucial documents pertaining to this case. Many have identified Marcinkova as an accomplice in procuring underage girls for Epstein, but she was just as much a victim of the serial pedophile. Incident reports from the Palm Beach Police Department reveal that Epstein told at least one underage survivor that Marcinkova was his Yugoslavian sex slave. Multiple girls also state that Epstein made them engage in sexual acts with Marcinkova, which eventually turned into threesomes with both himself and the model. And like I've said from the beginning, Marcinkova is pretty much the only person in this whole entire affair that I take any pity on whatsoever. But that pity is starting to run dry if she doesn't come forward and do the right thing. You know, you can't abuse other people and then say, well, I was abused, so that makes it okay. That is just not acceptable. So she needs to come forward and she needs to spill the beans and she needs to be cooperative and she needs to show remorse for what she did. Because out of all of the people involved in Jeffrey Epstein's sordid affairs, this is the only person that elicits any sort of sympathy, in my opinion. But her action since Epstein's death is slowly starting to erode that sympathy from me. You have to step forward. You have to come forward and you have to go on the record and you have to do whatever you can possibly do to help rectify the situation that you were part of. Epstein had purchased her from her family in Yugoslavia, wrote Detective Joseph Riccari after his interview with one survivor. Epstein bragged he brought her into the United States to be his Yugoslavian sex slave. You imagine the parents of these kids selling kids off? That's how poor their countries are. You think you got it bad, boy? Let me tell you, there is some real poverty in this world. There are some war-torn, impoverished places that would make people like us from the West make our jaws drop. And that's obviously what happened here, right? She was purchased from her parents. Her parents were obviously poor. They're from Yugoslavia, a country that, you know, at the time of the purchase was, you know, not doing very well. And you see the story unfold time and time again. How many unnamed girls suffered the same fate? But then they didn't get the benefits afterwards. They weren't kept around in the inner circle. They were jettisoned. They were discarded. What happened to those girls? That's a question that just is never far from my mind. Marcinkova would have been underage during most of the alleged incidents described by survivors during the initial 2006 investigation in Palm Beach. She was no older than 16 when she and another underage survivor were allegedly forced to stimulate each other manually, orally, and with toys, while Epstein watched them and pleasured himself in bed. And you see what I'm talking about? Sympathy. This girl was 16, bought from her parents, and everything that she suffered through had to play a part in the way she behaved herself after that, would be my guess, right? Again, I'm not a psychologist. I'm just speculating here. But what I can tell you is the fact that she was underage and she was purchased by Jeffrey Epstein, and it was a situation like it was, she is the only one, in my opinion, of the core four who deserves any sort of special circumstance during this investigation. But again, she has to be willing to speak on it. She has to be willing to give her testimony and help the case move forward. If not, then in the eyes of the law, then I highly doubt that they're going to show her any mercy. That same unnamed girl broke down in tears while revealing she had been to Epstein's Palm Beach mansion hundreds of times in a 2-year period and made thousands of dollars. At first, she was paid extra to perform an oral sex act on Marcinkova. Then, each week, things continued to escalate according to an incident report. And they were normalizing, right? Epstein was normalizing the behavior, and Marcinkova was obviously a child still in the situation we're talking about here, and she was being used as a part of that normalization process. That survivor said that she was adamant that no vaginal penetration would occur with Epstein, but her request was ignored by the pedophile, she told Detective Ricari. During one visit, the date of which she could not recall, Epstein allegedly raped that victim after she and Marcinkova had engaged in an oral sex act to completion. All right, that's probably a little more detail than we needed, right, at this point, but here we are. A little more detail than I want to know. I'd prefer just to not think about what these girls went through, honestly. It's so disgusting to think that these girls were treated this way, that they were treated as objects, not even human beings. It's so disgusting to me. It's so disturbing. Another woman also detailed a similar progression of events, starting with massages and leading into sexual encounters with Marcinkova. That survivor, who was of age during all visits to the house as she first met Epstein at 18, told Detective Ricari she also performed oral sex acts on Epstein, but refused his directive to bring around other young girls. And, look, I'm sure that there were some girls that weren't into it, right? They weren't going to bring other girls around. They might come and be involved in the massages or whatever, but I am sure that some girls got a bad vibe from that and were like, you know what? I'm not going to do that. And most of those girls would have been older, right? With life experience. Not these young high school age girls. Look, they don't have as much life experience. They're easier to manipulate, especially when you have a snake like Ghislaine Maxwell involved. She also claimed that she was once directed to perform a manual sex act on herself while watching Epstein have sex with Marcinkova. Another survivor who told police she began having sexual relations with Marcinkova at 16 said that Epstein took pictures of the two and actually displayed them around his home. And we know that is factual. I mean, not that those pictures per se, but we know that there were pictures of young underage girls, girls that seem underage, around his house, all over the place, decorating the place. And never mind what was on the computer and what was in the safe. Though Marcinkova was an alleged survivor of Epstein, she would later start recruiting girls for the financier, pedophile, according to court documents. Marcinkova was granted immunity as part of Epstein's 2008 deal, despite the fact that no charges would likely have been filed against her based on the police investigation. Well, that's just a bit of I'm guilty, so I'm going to make sure that I'm getting protected by this. Epstein wasn't taking any chances with that, right? He wanted to make sure those who were closest to him, those who knew what was really going on, he wanted to make sure that they were protected. So, Mr. I Kept My Underpants On, the naked volleyball guy himself, Alan Dershowitz, went to work and started filleting up the prosecution behind the scenes and then forced them into that deal. Isn't it great, the two-tier justice system? Isn't it just fantastic? Police still allowed her to visit Epstein in prison, however, more than 90 times, despite having learned the fact that she was underage when she started living with the pedophile. See, none of that shit makes sense, right? Marcinkova should have never been allowed to visit this guy in prison once, never mind 90 times. And then you refer back to that and you say to yourself, well, she visited him 90 times and she was an adult at that point. At what point do we start taking self-responsibility for our actions? And that's why it's such a weird situation with Marcinkova, in my opinion. You know, you have all of the circumstances that led up to the point where she started recruiting, she started abusing. But at a certain point, you have to say to yourself, she's had ample time to come forward, especially since Epstein's been dead, and she has not done so, at least that we know about. Born Nadia Marcinkova in eastern Czechoslovakia before moving with her family to Yugoslavia, the pilot changed her surname, now Marchenko, in recent years and Americanized her first name, going by Nadia. So, look, this is just the beginning, folks, of all of this, right? This is the very, very tip of the iceberg. We're hearing about the Nadia Marcinkova subpoena now. And in the future, in my opinion, I would not be surprised to hear the name Sarah Kellen Vickers next. If you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter at BOBBY_CAPUCCI. All of the links that go with this episode can be found in the description box. All right, everybody, I'll be back tomorrow morning and we'll pick it back up then.
This week at Macy's, get ready for a spring refresh with an extra 20% off with your coupon or Macy's card. Or check out amazing specials like Levi's jeans for all, now 30 to 40% off. New kids and baby looks, 50% off. And 1,250 thread count 4-piece sheet sets, just $39.99. Plus, Macy's Star Rewards members earn on every purchase except gift cards, services, and fees. More at Macys.com/Star Rewards. Savings off sale and clearance prices, exclusions apply. This week at Macy's, get ready for a spring refresh with an extra 20% off with your coupon or Macy's card. Or check out amazing specials like Levi's jeans for all, now 30 to 40% off. New kids and baby looks, 50% off. And 1,250 thread count 4-piece sheet sets, just $39.99. Plus, Macy's Star Rewards members earn on every purchase except gift cards, services, and fees. More at Macys.com/Star Rewards. Savings off sale and clearance prices, exclusions apply.